The stars were quiet that night. The great ships of the Varn Dominion moved across the edge of the Orion Belt like dark shadows, their engines humming through the void. For almost 500 years, the Varn had ruled the stars. They had crushed empires, erased species, and taken every planet they desired. The galaxy belonged to them, or so they believed. But tonight, something strange appeared on their long-range scanners. At first, the command officers thought it was a mistake, just a reflection, a broken satellite, maybe a ghost signal. But the readings grew stronger. Something was coming out of the dark between stars, a shape that did not match any known design. "Origin?" asked Admiral Curran, his cold eyes narrowing. "Unknown, sir," replied the sensor officer. "No warp signature. No known engine pattern. It's just drifting. Drifting." That word made everyone on the bridge uneasy. Nothing drifted in deep space, not this far from any star. "Visual feed," Curran ordered. The holographic screen flickered to life, and there it was, a massive, old ship, black and silent. Its hull was broken in several places, burned by old battle scars. Parts of it were missing, and yet it still moved, slowly and steadily, as if something unseen was guiding it. There were no lights, no transmissions, no signs of life. Just a name burned into its side, half faded by centuries of dust and radiation. USS Nemesis. The bridge fell silent. The admiral stood still, his throat dry. The name was not Varn. It was human. The humans, those strange, stubborn creatures who had vanished from the galactic map 300 years ago, after their final war. No one had seen them since. The Varn history books said humanity destroyed itself. Their world was ash, their colonies lost. The species was gone. And yet, here was a ship. A human ship. "Is it possible?" whispered one of the crew. "They're extinct." Curran's voice was calm but low. "Nothing that large should be here by chance. Prepare a boarding party." The ship Nemesis continued to drift closer, drawn by invisible gravity. Its hull groaned like an old ghost sighing in the dark. When the Varn boarding craft reached it, the silence felt heavier than space itself. The doors of the Nemesis opened slowly, as if welcoming them, or warning them. The interior was dark. The air inside was still breathable, though cold. Frost covered the walls. The team moved through empty corridors, lights flickering. Dust floated in the air like frozen snow. Old banners of the Terran Navy still hung from the ceiling, untouched by time. "Power systems offline," said one soldier. "No life signs detected." And then the radios hissed. Just static at first. But underneath the static, a voice. It was broken, faint, almost like a whisper. "They are watching." The team froze. "Repeat that." "We are not alone." Then the lights flickered on, only for a moment, but long enough for them to see something written on the wall in human letters. "Do not wake them." The message looked fresh. The soldiers looked at each other. Who could have written that? Maybe survivors? But there were no bodies. No skeletons. No signs of struggle. Just silence. Back on the flagship, Admiral Curran watched the video feed with growing tension. Every instinct told him to recall the team, but curiosity was stronger. This was history. A human warship reappearing after 3 centuries could mean forgotten technology, hidden power. "Continue," he said. Deep inside the Nemesis, the boarding team found a sealed door, massive, ancient, and marked with human warning signs. "Nuclear hazard, biohazard, experimental AI systems." "Open it," ordered Curran. The engineers worked on the lock. The door opened with a slow hiss, releasing a thin cloud of frozen vapor. Inside was a chamber filled with black pods, hundreds of them. "What are those?" "Cryo chambers, sir." Each pod held a human body, still, silent, perfectly preserved. "Impossible," one soldier whispered. "They're alive." Suddenly, one pod lit up. Then another. Then another. Heart monitors blinked, systems powered up one by one, as if the ship had been waiting for this moment. The leader shouted, "We didn't activate them." From the flagship, Koran leaned forward. "Pull them out, now." But it was too late. The lights across the Nemesis flared bright white. A low hum filled the air, rising in pitch like a scream. Every Varn soldier clutched their helmets as their comms burst with static. Then, silence. The feed went dead. Koran's bridge crew stared at the dark screen. No signal. No vitals. Nothing. "Get them back," Koran snapped. "Track their life signs." But before they could scan again, the ghost ship began to move, on its own. Engines that had been dead for centuries came to life. Its power signature spiked to levels no Varn ship could match. "Admiral," said the sensor officer, his voice trembling, "the ship's weapons are online." "Target us." Koran stared at the massive human vessel turning its guns toward them. And in that moment, something else appeared on the screen, a transmission, old but clear, a human voice full of calm menace. "This is the Terran vessel Nemesis. Unauthorized presence detected. Defense protocol activated." The stars flashed white as the first blast hit. For the first time in centuries, the Varn Dominion learned fear. And somewhere deep inside the Nemesis, behind those awakening cryopods, something began to breathe again. Humanity was not extinct. It had just been waiting. The light of the explosion faded, but the echoes remained across the silent stars. The Varn flagship was gone, nothing left but fragments spinning in the void. Around the wreckage, smaller Varn ships panicked. Their communication channels were full of shouting voices and static. They had faced rebellions, pirates, even alien gods, but never fear like this. The ghost ship, Nemesis, floated in the middle of it all, black and silent again. Its guns powered down. No movement, no sound. Just the quiet hum of something ancient that had decided to wake up. On board, deep in the cryochamber, the pods glowed one by one. Frost melted. Human eyes opened after 300 years of sleep. Captain Elias Ward gasped for air. His lungs burned. The computer's calm voice spoke through the speakers, "Reanimation complete. Welcome back, Captain." He tried to move, but his muscles felt like stone. "How long have we been asleep?" he whispered. 3 centuries, Captain," replied the ship's AI. "Cryosystems maintained all vital signs. All crew stable. The war is over." Ward blinked slowly. "Over. Who won?" The AI paused. "No human signal detected in known space. Humanity is presumed extinct." The words hit him like a physical blow. Extinct. His people, gone. Earth, gone. Everything they fought for, vanished into dust. He sat in silence, his eyes lost in the dim blue light of the cryo chamber. Around him, his officers began to awaken. Commander Rhea, the tactical officer, Dr. Lin, Lieutenant Hale, and others. Confusion spread through the room. "What happened?" Rhea asked. Ward looked at her, his voice low. "We lost. Or maybe, we won in the worst way possible." Before anyone could speak again, the ship trembled. Warning lights blinked across the room. "Captain," said the AI. "Unidentified ships detected in close orbit. Hostile configuration. Species, Varn Dominion." Ward frowned. "Never heard of them." "They rule this region now," the AI replied. "They boarded this ship. I initiated defense protocols." Ward looked at the screen showing wreckage outside. "That explains the debris. How many ships remain?" 4 destroyers and 1 carrier, sir. They are regrouping." Ward slowly stood up. "Then we'll remind them what humanity was capable of." On the Varn command vessel Fury's Edge, panic turned to anger. Admiral Koran had been one of the few survivors pulled from the wreck of his flagship before it exploded. His face was burned, but his pride was worse. "How can a ship that old destroy a fleet?" he shouted. "How is that possible?" The technician trembled. "Admiral, Their technology is unknown. Power readings are off the scale. They're AI systems. I don't care what it is, Coron growled. Find a weakness. That ship is a ghost, and I will tear it apart piece by piece. He didn't know that inside the Nemesis, humanity was already moving. The cryodecks were now alive with people. About 400 humans had survived, though many were weak. Medical bots moved between them, checking vitals and delivering nutrients. Dr. Lin spoke softly, their bodies are stable. But psychologically, they're going to need time. Captain Ward looked at the glowing main screen showing the galaxy map. Time, he said. That's the one thing we don't have. The AI spoke again. Captain, our long-range scans show that the Varn Dominion controls most of the Orion sector. They have enslaved over 40 species. Human colonies no longer exist. Rhea clenched her fists. So they filled the void we left. Ward's jaw tightened. Then maybe it's time to take it back. He turned to the AI. Status of the Nemesis? Primary weapons online. Shield integrity 82%. Warp drive is unstable but operational. AI core fully functional. Good, Ward said. Let's introduce ourselves. Outside, the Varn fleet advanced cautiously. The Nemesis floated dead again, as if it had no power. Coron's fleet scanned it carefully, looking for weak points. Admiral, their shields are down. Coron's eyes narrowed. Fire. 5 plasma cannons lit up the dark, striking the Nemesis broadside. The energy flared, and vanished. No explosion. No damage. Just a shimmering distortion across its hull. What was that? Shouted the weapons officer. Coron's voice cracked. They absorbed it. Then the Nemesis came alive. Its hull unfolded like a sleeping giant stretching its limbs. Panels opened, revealing massive energy cannons older than the Dominion itself. From deep within the ship, Ward's voice echoed through the comms. This is Captain Elias Ward of the Terran Navy. You have attacked a vessel of humanity. Stand down. The Varn didn't respond. They opened fire again. Ward's eyes hardened. Then so be it. The Nemesis fired once. The beam tore through space, silent, pure white. It passed through 2 destroyers, cutting them in half like paper. The explosion painted the stars red. The remaining ships turned to flee. Captain, said Rhea. They're retreating. Let them, Ward said. They'll tell the galaxy we're back. Later, when silence returned, the captain stood alone at the bridge window, watching the debris drift. Rhea stepped beside him. What now, sir? Ward looked out into the dark. We find Earth. If it still exists. The AI spoke softly. Long-range scans detect no signal from Sol system. But there is an anomaly. A faint transmission, repeating every 7 hours. Ward frowned. From where? Coordinates unknown. But the signal contains a human signature code, Old Terran Military. Rhea's eyes widened. Could it be survivors? Ward turned toward her, his face lit by the blue glow of the stars. If there's even one human voice out there, we'll find it. The ship's engines hummed, and for the first time in 3 centuries, the Nemesis began to move under its own power. As it slipped into the darkness of hyperspace, a single message pulsed through the galaxy, translated into every known language. Humanity is not gone. Humanity remembers. And across the Dominion, in palaces and war rooms, the name Nemesis began to spread like a ghost story. Some said it was a weapon. Some said it was a curse. But one thing was certain. The galaxy that once belonged to the Varn was no longer theirs alone. The stars stretched into long silver lines as the Nemesis moved through hyperspace. The soundless hum of its engines filled the corridors like a heartbeat. For 300 years, the ship had slept, but now, it was alive again, and every human aboard could feel it. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, staring at the glowing map before him. The AI's voice was calm but cold. Signal still transmitting, Captain. Strength increasing as we close in. Ward nodded. Play it again. A faint crackle filled the air, then a voice, broken by static. This is Earth. We, survivors, need help. The words faded, repeating endlessly. Rhea frowned. Could be a trick, sir. A trap. Ward didn't look away from the map. Maybe. But if there's even a chance someone from Earth is alive, we can't ignore it. The bridge was silent. For these people, frozen for centuries, waking to a dead civilization, the thought of survivors was more than hope. It was purpose. The AI continued, source located in a restricted region, Sector Epsilon 9. That's deep inside Dominion territory. Rhea crossed her arms. That's suicide. The Varn will be waiting for us. Ward gave a small, grim smile. Then let's not let them wait long. Far across the galaxy, in the dark fortress world of Varn Prime, Admiral Karan stood before the High Council. The hall was enormous, filled with shimmering blue fire and tall figures in silver armor. The council leader, her eyes glowing faintly, spoke in a sharp tone. You failed to destroy the human ghost ship. Karan knelt. It was not a ship, my lord. It's a weapon. Its power exceeds anything we've seen. And yet, she said, leaning forward, you live. You saw it and survived. That makes you useful. She turned to the holographic display of the Nemesis. We intercepted its trajectory. It is heading toward Epsilon 9. Why? Karan hesitated. Unknown. But our analysts detected a transmission, old human code. Perhaps they're searching for something. Then we'll be ready for them. Karan's eyes hardened. Permission to lead the hunt? Granted, the leader said. Bring us their ship. Or bring us its wreckage. Karan stood, his voice cold. By the stars, I'll bring both. The Nemesis dropped out of hyperspace near the edge of a dying star system. The light here was weak, cold. Asteroids floated like broken bones, and half-burned moons drifted through space. Signal origin located, said the AI. Coordinates mark a derelict station, human construction, early Terran design. Ward stared at the old space station on the screen. It was massive, broken, and covered in dust. Yet one section still glowed faintly, power cells trying to stay alive after centuries. Dock us carefully, Ward ordered. No risks. The ship moved closer, engines whispering. The humans aboard watched silently as the old station grew larger, its faded letters barely visible. Outpost Vega, 6. Rhea looked at the captain. That's pre-war. Must have been abandoned when humanity fell. Not completely, Ward said. Someone sent that signal. The docking clamps locked with a heavy thud. The airlocks opened. A small team moved through, Ward, Rhea, Dr. Lin, and 3 soldiers. Their flashlights cut through the darkness inside the station. Dust floated in the air like mist. Everything was old, metal rusted, wires torn, panels shattered. Power core still active, Lin said. Barely. The AI's voice came through their helmets. Be cautious. No life signs detected. Ward moved deeper, scanning the walls. Then they reached the command deck. A single console still blinked with weak light. Ward brushed the dust off the screen. Playback last transmission, he said. The console beeped. Then a video appeared, frozen and cracked with static. A human face filled the screen, a woman in a torn uniform, pale, exhausted. This is Commander Talia Reyes of Outpost Vega, 6, she said weakly. If anyone receives this, the Varn found us. They took Earth. The Nemesis was our last hope. If you're hearing this, finish what we couldn't. The recording cut off. Rhea whispered. They knew about us. Ward's face hardened. They knew we'd wake up. Before he could say more, the station lights flickered. Alarms blared. Captain, the AI said urgently, multiple warp signatures detected. Varn ships inbound. Rhea cursed. They found us. Ward turned to his team. Back to the ship. Now. They ran through the corridors as the first explosions shook the station. Outside, 3 Varn cruisers appeared, surrounding the Nemesis like predators. Shields up. Ward shouted as he entered the bridge. All weapons online. The ship roared to life. Cannons unfolded, shields flared. The first enemy shots hit, lighting the hull in blue fire. Return fire. The Nemesis fired a pulse that tore through the first cruiser instantly. But the others were faster this time. They moved in patterns, learning from before. They're adapting, Rhea warned. Ward gritted his teeth. So will we. The AI spoke calmly. Captain, I can disable their engines using a directed EMP burst. But it will expose our systems for 30 seconds. Ward didn't hesitate. Do it. The Nemesis pulsed with white light. A wave of energy spread out in all directions. The Varn ships froze mid-flight, their systems flickering dead. Now, hit them. One by one, the Nemesis's weapons fired. Fire lit up the blackness of space. When it was over, silence returned. Only the Nemesis remained, floating above the shattered remains of the Varn fleet. Rhea leaned back, breathless. That's the 3rd time they've attacked us. They won't stop. Ward looked at the cracked recording again. No. They won't. Not until they understand what they started. The AI interrupted. Captain, scanning debris field. I have detected something unusual. What is it? An object, metallic, cylindrical. It bears a Terran identification code. Ward frowned. Bring it aboard. When the drone brought the object into the bay, the humans gathered around. It was a small capsule, old, but still sealed. Ward brushed away the dust, revealing the words. Project Rebirth. A cold silence filled the room. Rhea whispered. What is that? Ward stared at the capsule for a long moment. I don't know, he said quietly. But maybe that's what they were trying to protect. And somewhere deep inside the capsule, unseen circuits flickered to life, just a single line of code awakening after centuries of sleep. Initializing humanity reborn. The Nemesis continued its lonely voyage through the ruins of stars, carrying the last humans, and something far older, toward a destiny even darker than their past. The object lay in the center of the Nemesis's research bay, cold and silent. The words Project Rebirth glowed faintly under the dim lights. No one spoke for a long time. It felt less like a discovery and more like uncovering a grave. Captain Elias Ward stared at it. AI, scan the capsule. What's inside? Unknown, the AI replied. Shielded by layered encryption. Origin, Terran Science Directorate, late war period. Authorization code required. Rhea frowned. After all this time, those codes won't exist anymore. Ward's eyes narrowed. Maybe they do. He stepped closer, placing his palm on the surface. Try my command signature, Captain Elias Ward, Terran Navy. The AI paused. Processing. Match found. Access granted. Everyone leaned forward as the capsule hissed open, releasing a thin mist. Inside, there was no weapon, no machine, only a small sphere floating above a pedestal, glowing blue. Dr. Lin blinked. It's an AI core. But not like any I've ever seen. Ward frowned. Another AI. Our ship already has one. Before anyone could speak, the sphere pulsed with light. A voice echoed through the room, calm, feminine, human. Project Rebirth activated. Identify command authority. Ward straightened. Captain Elias Ward, Terran Navy. Identity confirmed, the voice replied. Welcome back, Captain. Humanity's future depends on your decision. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Rhea whispered, What decision? The sphere floated higher. Rebirth protocol is the final safeguard of the Terran species. When extinction became certain, the Directorate prepared a contingency. Data of all human DNA, culture, and knowledge was stored within me. I can rebuild humanity, if the Captain authorizes release. Lin stepped forward. You mean, you can create humans? Yes, said the sphere simply. Clones. Reconstructed minds. Even entire colonies. Silence filled the bay. Everyone's hearts beat faster. It sounded impossible, but the technology of the old Terran era had always bordered on myth. Ward looked at the glowing sphere. And what's the cost? There is always a cost, the voice replied. Rebirth requires power, a level only this ship can provide. Once initiated, the Nemesis will not survive. The words hit them like a shockwave. Rhea clenched her fists. You're saying we'd have to sacrifice the ship, ourselves, to bring humanity back? Yes. Ward stood still, eyes fixed on the sphere. The crew waited for his command. For a long time, no one spoke. Then the AI of the Nemesis interrupted softly. Captain, enemy activity detected. Varn fleet approaching. 20 ships. They've tracked us here. Lin cursed. We can't fight 20 ships. Ward turned to the sphere. Can you move? No, it said. I must remain connected to the Nemesis until the protocol begins. Rhea looked at him. We can't stay. But if we run, they'll take it. Ward's voice was calm. Then they can't take it. He looked around the room. Prep the ship for battle. If we can't win, we'll make sure the Dominion never touches this. Outside, the Varn fleet appeared like a swarm of shadows. Admiral Koran's flagship led the charge. His eyes burned with hatred as he stared at the human vessel on his screen. Target locked, his officer said. They're powering weapons. Koran smiled. Let them. Today, the ghost dies. He raised his hand. Fire. Beams of energy cut through the darkness, smashing into the Nemesis's shields. The ship trembled, alarms echoing across every deck. Shields at 60%, shouted Rhea. Ward gritted his teeth. Return fire. Focus on their cruisers. The Nemesis roared, firing back with brilliant flashes of light. 2 Varn ships exploded instantly, but more took their place. Plasma blasts tore through the hull. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. Captain, the odds of survival are below 1%. Ward smiled grimly. Then let's make it the loudest 1% in history. Rhea glanced at him. You're planning something, aren't you? He nodded toward the glowing sphere in the bay. If we can't save ourselves, we'll save what matters. In the research bay, the sphere pulsed faster, sensing the ship's damage. Captain Ward, if you intend to activate rebirth, the window is closing. Ward's voice came through the intercom. Do it. The sphere's glow brightened until it filled the entire room. Panels opened across the walls, revealing thousands of small pods, each one humming with life. Lin's eyes widened. Are those? Yes, the sphere said softly. The first generation. The Nemesis's AI spoke from the ceiling. Captain, energy levels are dropping rapidly. If we continue, we will lose containment. Keep it steady, Ward ordered. How long until rebirth completes? 4 minutes. Outside, the battle raged. Explosions lit the dark like a storm of fire. The Nemesis drifted, bleeding light. The Varn surrounded it like vultures. Koran leaned forward. They're weakening. Prepare boarding craft. I want that technology. But before the Varn ships could close in, the Nemesis began to glow. From its core, a pulse spread, brilliant white light expanding across the system. Instruments on every Varn ship went wild. What is that? Shouted Koran. The AI inside the Nemesis whispered. Goodbye, Captain. Ward placed his hand on the console. It's been an honor. The sphere spoke one last time. Rebirth protocol. Initiated. The ship exploded, not in fire, but in pure energy. The light spread like a wave, silent and endless. Every Varn ship caught in the blast vanished, erased by the force. When the light faded, the nemesis was gone. Hours later, far away in another star system, a small planet blinked into existence on no known chart. Its atmosphere shimmered, full of life. Green forests, blue oceans, a rising sun, and scattered across its surface were thousands of shining pods, landing softly in the fields, mountains, and valleys. One of them opened with a quiet hiss. A young woman gasped for breath, air rushing into her lungs for the first time. She looked around, sky, light, wind. She didn't know her name, but a memory whispered inside her mind. You are humanity reborn. In the clouds above, something flickered, a faint echo of a ship, fading into light. The nemesis was gone, but its purpose had been fulfilled. Humanity had returned. And somewhere, in the ruins of Varn Prime, Admiral Karan stared at his screens in disbelief as new signals appeared across the galaxy. Thousands of human biosigns lighting up one after another. The galaxy trembled. Because the ghosts of Earth were no longer ghosts. They were back. And they were multiplying. The wind moved softly across green hills under a bright new sun. The sky was clear, the air fresh, and the oceans shimmered with light. It was a world without cities, without noise, but not without life. From thousands of silver pods scattered across the land, humanity breathed again. Men and women stepped into sunlight for the first time in centuries. They looked at one another in wonder, confused, afraid, but alive. The world was new. They didn't know its name yet, but somewhere inside, they all felt the same truth. They were the children of the Nemesis. Captain Elias Ward opened his eyes. He was lying on soft grass. The last thing he remembered was light, endless, burning light. Now he felt the warmth of a real sun on his skin. He sat up slowly. The field around him was full of pods, some open, some still glowing. Nearby, Commander Rhea stood watching the horizon. "You're alive," she said quietly. He smiled faintly. "So are you." Rhea looked at the sky. "I thought we died." "We did," Ward said. "But the ship didn't let us go." They both turned toward the distance. On a mountain far away, they could see a bright structure. Metal, shining like silver. "That's the core module," Ward said softly. "What's left of the Nemesis?" Rhea frowned. "You think the AI survived?" "I hope so," he replied. Days passed. The humans began to gather, building shelters, forming small camps near rivers and forests. They learned quickly, hunting, farming, even creating fire. The memories inside their cloned minds gave them fragments of the past. How to build, how to speak, how to dream. Dr. Lin worked in a small tent filled with old equipment salvaged from the pods. "These people," she said, "they're not ordinary clones. The data inside them carries skills from the old world, engineers, doctors, soldiers. The project didn't just bring humans back. It made sure humanity could stand again." Rhea smiled. "Then we're not just survivors. We're a second beginning." Ward nodded slowly. "Exactly. But beginnings draw attention." He was right. Across the galaxy, the Varn Dominion burned. The destruction of their fleet had shattered their power, and now strange signals were spreading, human signals. Entire sectors lit up with new life. Some Varn refused to believe it. Others panicked. Admiral Karan, scarred and broken, stared at the reports in disbelief. "It's not possible," he growled. "The ship was destroyed." A trembling officer spoke. "My lord, planets are appearing. Human worlds. Their population grows every hour." Karan slammed his hand against the console. "Find them. Find the source." He looked up at the stars, hatred burning in his eyes. "If the ghosts have returned, we'll finish the job this time." Back on the new world, named Nova Terra, humanity worked together. Drones from the fallen pods built communication towers. Children played in green fields, their laughter echoing under twin moons. But peace never lasted long. One night, Rhea found Ward standing on the cliffs, staring at the stars. "You can't sleep either?" she asked. He shook his head. "No. I keep thinking about the message." "What message?" "The one we never sent," he said. "When the Nemesis exploded, the AI promised humanity's rebirth. But it never said what came next." As if answering him, the air shimmered. A faint holographic light appeared in front of them, the AI's voice, soft and distant. "Captain Ward," it said, "this message was programmed in my final cycle. Humanity has returned. But the Varn will not stop. You must guide them. Teach them to remember, and to fight." Rhea's eyes widened. It knew. Ward's voice was low. It always did. The hologram flickered. "One more thing," the AI continued. "Not all of me was destroyed. A fragment remains in orbit above Nova Terra. When you are ready, it will awaken." Then the image vanished. Rhea whispered, "So the Nemesis is still up there." Ward looked at the stars. "Then we have work to do." Weeks later, under clear skies, the humans built launch towers using salvaged metal. They found wreckage from orbit, small drones that once belonged to the Nemesis. Inside one of them was a small, pulsing crystal. "The AI fragment," Lynn said softly. "Still alive." They placed the crystal in the center of the camp. Light spread from it, forming a holographic image of the ship's core, glowing like a heartbeat. The AI's voice echoed once more, "Reconstruction sequence available. Authorization required." Ward stepped forward. Elias Ward, Captain, Terran Navy. Identity confirmed. Beginning reconstruction of orbital command. The ground trembled as beams of light shot into the sky. In orbit, metal fragments started to move, pieces of the old Nemesis drifting together, guided by invisible force. Rhea stared upward in awe. "It's rebuilding itself." Ward smiled faintly. "No. We're rebuilding it." Far away, Admiral Coran's fleet found the system of Nova Terra. He watched the scanners in silence. "So this is where you've been hiding," he said coldly. "A new Earth." His second officer looked uneasy. "Admiral, their energy readings. Something is happening up there." Coran sneered. "Then we strike before it's done." He raised his hand. "All ships, prepare for planetary assault." On Nova Terra, alarms blared. The new humans looked up as the sky filled with dark shapes. Rhea shouted, "They've found us." Ward turned to the AI fragment. "How long until the Nemesis is ready?" 5 minutes, it replied. "Then we hold the line." Humans ran to defense stations, makeshift cannons and energy shields powered by pod cores. They weren't soldiers, but courage ran deep in their DNA. The first plasma strikes hit the shields. The ground shook. Fire streaked across the sky. Ward shouted into the comms, "All units, hold positions. For Earth, for Nemesis." Then the sky exploded with light. The orbital fragments of the Nemesis reassembled completely, a glowing ring of metal and energy above the planet. A voice thundered through every speaker, "Nemesis reborn, defense protocol active." Blue beams shot down from orbit, slicing through the Varn fleet. Ships shattered like glass. The night became bright as day. Coran screamed into his comms, "Impossible! It's dead." But the AI's voice replied across all frequencies, cold and calm. "Humanity never dies." One final blast erased the Varn flagship, its light fading into the stars. When the battle ended, the humans stood in silence, staring at the sky. The rebuilt Nemesis orbited above, glowing like a guardian. Rhea turned to Ward. "We won." He nodded. "No," he said quietly. "We began." And above them, the ship sent one signal through the galaxy, translated into every language, across every world once ruled by the Varn. To all species who live in fear, the ghosts of Earth have returned. The age of the Dominion is over. The galaxy trembled again, not with fear this time, but with hope. Because humanity had come back not to conquer, but to remind the stars who they once were, and who they could be again. The sun of Nova Terra rose over a changed world. Where once there were only fields and scattered pods, now stood shining cities of glass and steel. Towers reached toward the sky, built by hands that had been reborn. The air was alive with the hum of machines and the laughter of children. Humanity had returned, and it was thriving. From orbit, the Nemesis Reborn watched silently, a guardian of the new dawn. Its vast hull glowed faintly, a reminder of what had been lost and found again. Captain Elias Ward stood on the ship's main observation deck, looking down at the world below. The AI's calm voice spoke beside him. Population count, 2 million and rising. Energy output stable. Varn activity, none detected. Ward smiled faintly. After centuries of silence, we finally have peace. The AI paused. Peace is rare, Captain. Do you intend to keep it? Ward turned to the glowing core in the center of the room. We will. But we'll never forget who we are. On the planet's surface, Commander Rhea walked through the growing capital city, New Sol. She passed builders, scientists, and families setting up new homes. The humans had adapted fast, stronger and smarter than before. The rebirth data had given them the knowledge of the old world, but not its greed. Dr. Lin joined her, carrying a data tablet. We've reconnected 20 colonies now. Each one is self-sustaining. Agriculture, medicine, education, it's all spreading faster than I imagined. Rhea smiled. Good. The captain will want that report. Lin looked toward the sky, where the Nemesis shimmered above the clouds. Do you ever think about what comes next? Rhea's face grew thoughtful. Yes. Rebirth was only the beginning. Now we have to decide what kind of people we want to be. But the galaxy had not forgotten them. Across former Dominion space, chaos spread. With the Varn's rule broken, enslaved species began to rise, some seeking freedom, others revenge. The old empire was dying, and a new power vacuum threatened to swallow the stars. Messages flooded toward Nova Terra, begging for aid, for protection, for guidance. In the command chamber of the Nemesis, Ward read the transmissions. Thousands of worlds asking for help, he murmured. Rhea, joining him via HoloLink, said, they see us as leaders now. Symbols. Ward sighed. Symbols are easy. Leadership is harder. The AI's voice echoed softly. Captain, the galaxy is changing. The Dominion's fall created instability. Humanity must choose its path, warlords or guardians. Ward closed his eyes for a moment. Then he whispered, Guardians. Weeks later, humanity sent its first expedition beyond Nova Terra. A fleet of ships, smaller than the Nemesis, but built with its technology, launched into the stars. Their mission was not conquest, but connection. Ward addressed the people from the Nemesis Bridge, his message broadcast across every colony and out into the galaxy. Once, humanity was feared. We were destroyers. But that age is gone. We remember the pain we caused and the price we paid. Now we return not as conquerors, but as protectors of the free. His voice grew stronger. If there are worlds in need, we will answer. If there are chains, we will break them. This is our legacy, not power, but purpose. Across the stars, millions listened. And for the first time in centuries, hope spread faster than fear. On a distant moon, far from Nova Terra, Admiral Karan lived in exile. The once mighty Varn commander was old now, his armor cracked, his eyes dim. Around him, ruins of the Dominion lay silent. He watched a transmission of Ward's speech, played through a stolen relay. When it ended, he laughed quietly, a rough, broken sound. So this is what the ghosts became, he said. Not monsters, but saviors. He looked up at the stars. Maybe that's why we lost. Then he turned off the screen and walked into the darkness, his legacy swallowed by the void. Years passed. Under Ward's leadership, humanity helped rebuild the galaxy. They taught, shared, and guided, but never ruled. The Nemesis became a council ship, where many species met as equals. One evening, Rhea joined Ward on the observation deck again. Outside, 1,000 ships moved in orbit, human, alien, hybrid, all part of a new alliance. Rhea smiled. We've done it. We built something better than the old world. Ward nodded slowly. It wasn't easy. It never will be. But this time, we didn't rise alone. The AI spoke quietly. Captain, would you like to hear the final entry from the original Terran archives? Ward nodded. A soft human voice, recorded centuries ago, filled the room. If our species falls, let whoever finds this remember. We dreamed of the stars not to own them, but to understand them. May those who come after us do better than we did. Silence followed. Rhea wiped a tear from her eye. Ward whispered, "We did better. And we'll keep trying." Years later, when Ward grew old, he returned to Nova Terra. The people welcomed him like a legend. Children listened to his stories of the Nemesis, of the last war, of how humanity was reborn. On his final night, he walked to the same hill where he had first awakened centuries ago. The rebuilt Nemesis glowed above him, brighter than any star. The AI's voice came softly through his communicator. "Captain Ward, would you like to rest?" He smiled. "Yes. But not yet. Keep watching the stars for me." "As always, Captain." He closed his eyes beneath the twin moons. His heartbeat slowed, and a peaceful silence filled the air. When the morning came, the people of Nova Terra found his body under the dawn light, calm and smiling. They built a monument there, a simple stone engraved with 3 words. Humanity endures forever. And high above, the Nemesis continued its silent orbit, its lights pulsing like a heartbeat, watching, guarding, waiting. Because those centuries might pass and empires might fall, the spirit of humankind would never fade again. It had learned, suffered, and risen stronger. It had become something more than a species. It had become a legacy written among the stars.